Good evening, and welcome to the regular Piqua City Commission meeting Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. At this time, let us start by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time, will the clerk call the roll?
Mayor Lee,
Present.
Commissioner Hines,
Here.
Commissioner Grissom,
Here.
Commissioner Pearson,
Here.
Commissioner Foat.
Here.
All right. So, we're going to begin with the consent agenda.
Thank you. Under the consent agenda, we have one item, approval of the minutes from the October 16th, 2020, and the October 27th, 2020, Piqua City Commission special meeting executive sessions, and the October 20, 2020, regular Piqua City Commission meeting.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next will be old business. It'll be ordinance number 9-20, second reading.
An ordinance amending Chapter 154 zoning of the Piqua Code of Ordinances and allowing a dispensary use in the B General Business and CBD Central Business zoning districts.
Yes, tonight we'll call on Chris Measing, Economic Development Director, to give the staff report.
Thank you. As discussed at the previous meeting, this item comes to you by way of a series of meetings and discussions between Planning Commission and City Commission to look at this matter. Ultimately, there was a decision made that medical marijuana dispensaries were something that the Commission felt would be appropriate to allow. So Planning Commission brought forward a recommendation to amend the current zoning code language to include as a principal permitted use in the CBD and B general business zoning districts, a medical marijuana dispensary use type. And also as part of the amendment, we would be amending into the definitions, the definition of dispensary as adopted by the Ohio Revised Code. So it would be mirroring what you find in Ohio Revised Code. The last meeting was the first reading for this item. This would be the second reading. And after 3 readings, this item would be adopted if you so choose. And the code would be effectively amended at that point once it's allowed to become effective by law.
All right. Any commissioners have any questions or comments? Any comments from the audience? Just state your name and your address.
Amy Shannon, 1560 Windridge Place, Apartment D in Troy. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak briefly. I'm going to see how to start this. I'm a licensed social worker, I'm a Christian, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, and I'm a medical marijuana patient. I was one of the first approved in Ohio because it's something that I actively sought because I knew it was something that could make a difference for me. I started with pain conditions at 7 years old. At 36, I had my first heart attack. By 39, I was completely bedridden, and I spent 3 years in bed based on being prescribed fentanyl patches and Vicodin. And after a long time of suffering, basically because of all of those meds, I realized I needed to do something different. I started with CBD oil and very quickly was able to transition to the THC once it was an option and available. Being the kind of person I was, it was not something I was going to buy on the streets because it was not something I wanted to take a chance on. But it's simple things like this is my patch that I can wear. And I've been going to the dispensary in Wapak. It is incredibly safe. They definitely follow the rules. I have always felt very secure there, and I have felt treated very, very well by the people that are there. I feel like it is a very appropriate and safe business to bring into town. And I absolutely will be a customer in Piqua because it would be very nice not to have to drive an hour to get medication. And I'm one of the few that's lucky that can drive that hour. Many people can't. So I thank you for considering this. I hope it does go through, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There's no other audience contribution. We'll set this as a second reading. All right.
Chris, can I just say, I really appreciate you coming forward. It so helps us to hear from somebody who definitely, we hear this, but to have you come and speak to the meeting, thank you very much. Because I know that, and that's one of the things Commissioner Foat, when he originally brought this to us, talked about travel, and for people who are not able to travel that far. So,
The definition of what he was talking about.
Yeah.
You are it. So
Yeah.
we appreciate you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that doesn't, as
Thank
long as
you.
it helps you.
If
That's what
you,
it's about.
if you wouldn't mind coming back up for a minute, if you could just maybe briefly talk about any kind of adverse effects with you actually being a medical marijuana patient. Have you had any adverse effects? Have there been any run-ins with the law in regards to what the medical marijuana dispensary actually does for the community at large?
I have not. Every time I have been to the dispensary, one time I took my mom with me and wanted her to be able to go back and see how it was run, because it's a waiting room. You don't see any marijuana. Where I go, it's called Eagle Dispensary, so it's not something that looks different. But they would not allow her back because she had not paid the $50 for her card yet. So I was glad to see that. That's the rules. They stuck to them. I have never actually seen the police in the parking lot there, but they're very clear. They label everything, they bag it up, they give it to you closed up, and they tell you to wait till you get home. And I've never had any issues with the police. I carry my card with me at all times and ensure that I have what I need for that. My employer knows that I use. He actually knows that I'm here today. I've never had anyone give me a hard time over it. And I think I'm very open about it because I think it's good for people to see. Yeah, I'm gonna be 50 tomorrow. I'm not out here trying to get stoned. If I wanted to get
No, that's not
stoned,
what it's not
I'd be
what
using
it's
those Vicodin that I used. So it's a way, it's just made such a difference. And I've not had any ill effects. It has worked really well for me. But that's one of the things, each time I go to the dispensary, they talk with me about what products I'm using, how it's working for me, what's good, what's not good, to make sure I'm on something that can make a difference for me. It's not a miracle cure, but it's why I'm working. I actually started back in getting my master's degree, and a year ago, never could have considered that. And I strictly believe it's because of the medical marijuana.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story.
And one of the things is it's safe because you
Yes.
know that it's not been laced with anything. So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
the Ohio board is very good. There's been recalls, there's been some testing issues. We all get notice of that immediately, and they take care of that. So it's safe. I know what I'm getting. I know exactly the strain. I know exactly the dose. And that way I know what I'm doing. So,
Good for you.
thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for sharing again. All right, at this point, we will entertain the public comment. It's an opportunity for citizens to address the city commission regarding agenda items, issues, or to provide information. Comments are requested to be limited to 5 minutes, and specific questions should be addressed to the city manager's office. Anybody in the audience for public comment? Back up.
Good evening, how are you?
Just fine.
I'm Alicia Barton, do you still need us to state our name and address?
Yes.
Okay, Alicia Barton, 740 Chelsea Lane, Tip City, Ohio. I'm with the Ohio State University Extension here in Miami County.
And Amy Shannon, 1560 Windridge Place, Apartment D in Troy. And I'm the social worker with Health Partners Free Clinic.
So we were here in February. It feels like it's been much longer. Been a few months. It feels like we've lived a lifetime.
Busy though.
We have been busy. I'm glad that you
I've
were
been
aware
noticing.
of that.
I am watching you guys. I think you do good work, and I appreciate what you do, and I keep an eye on you guys. So
Thank you. We appreciate that.
no problem.
We wanted to talk to you tonight about food insecurity. That's what we were here talking with you about in February. This is still an issue that we're working on. I don't imagine that we'll ever have this completely solved, unfortunately. There's still a need there. In fact, we're going to come back in January and share with you all of the year 2020 numbers, but we want to just, make you aware of a few. We served almost 1,300 families just in the month of March. It was the biggest number we had ever seen. I believe our largest number up to that date was just right around 350, 400, somewhere in that range. We served 1,300 in 2 hours in the month of March alone. We're continuing to see record numbers because of COVID and job losses and small businesses closing and things like that. In fact, this month we still saw over 700. We're in November, so in October we saw over 700 families again at our emergency food distribution that we offer once a month. As part of our alliance, we meet with the food pantries on a monthly basis, and they are also telling us that they are seeing increased numbers, times where they'll see a big increase and then time where they'll see steady numbers, but they're also seeing kind of a ping pong in our local food pantries as well. About 45% of our numbers still come from within the city of Piqua. We serve all of Miami County, and nearly half of them are coming to us from Piqua. We have moved our food distribution to Upper Valley Career Center because their parking lot is one of the only parking lots in the county that can accommodate the large trucks and the number of people that we have without blocking traffic and
Creating chaos.
exactly. That's a good way to say it, creating chaos. Our senior numbers are up too from where we were last year, and Amy can speak more about that number.
One of the things that is so critical with this is the volunteers that we need. And one of the things that we started with COVID, we had been having people transport seniors to the distributions to pick up food. We quickly realized they could not be coming out to sit there. So we began a delivery service, and we now are up to about 105 deliveries with each distribution, which requires a whole lot of volunteers. Places like Sunset Square has been really good. They send out their handyman to pick up 17 boxes. And so we're trying to work with some folks. We actually have 2 women from Piqua who are a little bit older. One's actually 80, one's about in her 70s. They pick up for their neighbors because the neighbors are still scared to come out. And so here's these older women that are coming and picking up 6 and 7 sets of boxes for all of their neighbors. So the deliveries have been critical. Through most of this, we've had the National Guard, which has been amazing. And they have taught us so much because watching their processes has really straightened up how we do things. We're definitely following their examples. But that now is drifting away and we're losing them. They primarily just drive the trucks up and we just have a little bit of help. And it takes about 40 to 50 volunteers to get this running each month. And so that can be kind of hard, is getting all these volunteers in. So that's one of the things we're looking for, is help with volunteers.
Yeah, we're here tonight we're very grateful for our volunteers, but we need more. And we're to continue at the pace that we have now because of COVID and the kind of the precedence that's been set by the National Guard. We're going to need a lot of volunteers to accomplish that.
So we have access to some internet resources where you could solicit some volunteers from our City of
Okay.
Piqua webpage and our friends, our neighbors webpage. If you will send us the information, I'll make sure that it gets on there, and maybe we can get you some volunteers.
Excellent, thank you.
Absolutely.
No problem. Thank you for what you do, because what you do is a valuable resource and a valuable service, and it helps a lot of people. It really does.
And with that, we really want to say thank you to the Upper Valley Career Center. They have been so accommodating. They can't open the doors of the school because of all the restrictions, so we can't use their bathrooms. But otherwise, they have been amazing.
They are awesome.
Obviously, it's not their fault. They can't do that.
Nope.
They have been incredible with really working with us and giving us that space. We at times will have people wrapped all the way through all the parking lots and behind the school
Snaked behind
and
the
snaked
school.
back and forth.
Wow.
We have people that start lining up at 7 o'clock for 10 o'clock in the morning distribution. So it's clearly there's a need. We hear a lot of stories. We're hearing a lot of people who, lost their jobs. They might be in kind of newer cars that they've never been in this position before. We hear from a lot of people how hard it is to ask for this help. And so it's nice that we have an opportunity to give it to them where they don't have to really bare their souls to us, and we can help with that. This past month, we also had the health department there to give out masks, and they just distributed 10,000 masks that day.
That's awesome.
So in addition to our food distribution and the volunteers that we need, we do keep an updated resource of all of the Miami County food resources, in the county, the soup kitchens, the pantries, the free meals, lunches, breakfast, dinners, the little food truck boxes that you may have seen. I don't believe there are any in Piqua yet, are there?
There's one, no, Tip City so far.
Tip
She'll be
City
coming.
and Troy, yeah, she's working on But all of those are, 24/7. People can just stop by those boxes at any time and get food out of them. So we keep that list of resources. So if we could send that to you as well.
Yes.
That is a really valuable resource to put into people's hands when they, when they're waiting up for their next food distribution or they're wondering where another pantry is. It tells the hours, the requirements, gives them all of the information that they need to access those
Well, I
those
appreciate that,
services.
sir. So we'll take that information, put it out for you.
Great, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. There's no other public comment. We'll move to city manager's report. And
Thank you. I've been asked to give an update regarding the CARES Act and some of the funding and resources that are available to the Piqua community. So I'll start with the CARES Act funding to the city of Piqua and what we've used those things for. According to the grant requirements, the city has used the dollars on such items such as PPE, which are personal protective equipment, for public health, for sanitizing and social distancing measures with and around the city, to improve telework capabilities of public employees, and in the support of essential and first responders, specifically in our fire and police departments. And throughout this all, the city continues to seek additional funds to help offset ongoing COVID-related expenses during and throughout the pandemic. So some resources that are available to our Piqua community, I'd like to speak a little bit about tonight. The first one is the Home Relief Grant, and the state of Ohio has made available $50 million in CARES Act funding. This is available to Ohio citizens to pay rent, for their mortgage, and help with water and sewer payments on utility bills. Eligibility for the grant is based on annual household income levels, and additional information on the Home Relief Grant and the application process can be found on the City of Piqua website or by visiting businesshelp.ohio.gov. Now, locally, applications would need to be made by our community citizens to the Miami County Community Action Council, which is located in Troy. So you can also find information about it on their website too. For our small businesses, the state of Ohio has also set up $125 million in small business relief grants, which are designed to assist Ohio businesses that have been harmed by the effects of COVID-19. Funding for this program comes directly from the CARES Act, and additional information and the application process for our businesses can be found also on our city website or by visiting businesshelp.ohio.gov. This can be quite helpful to our businesses because the maximum grants available are up to $10,000 per eligible business. I would encourage both our residents and our businesses to make those applications as soon as possible because the funding sources for the type of grants that are currently available to our residents and businesses must be distributed by December 30th of this year. So get out there and get those dollars because they're available to communities just like ours.
They're available, so please take advantage of them.
The last item has to do with our bars and restaurants. And this is an assistant fund that has also been set up by the state of Ohio to assist bars and restaurants designed to assist on-premise liquor permit holders who have been significantly impacted by COVID-19. Funding from this program also is a part of the CARES Act, and information can also be found on our website as well as visiting businesshelp.ohio.gov. Applications are currently being accepted, and grants can be provided for up to $2,500. So there's some significant dollars out there that can hopefully help others throughout the community.
Commissioners, any comments or questions?
I want to make a few comments. So I appreciate all the information you provided. There's money out there, and that we're seeing a lot of things in the news. I mean, I tried Googling CARES Act, trying to learn about some of this, and it's almost impossible to sort through some of that information. So I can see the struggle, and I can see why there may be money still left out there, and we don't want to leave that money out there, because I don't know about the rest of you, but ever since COVID started, I've gotten calls from citizens with concerns, need help. So please use these resources. We've looked at things internally to see, what's the best use of some of the money we've seen. I've seen people post saying, what's the money being used for, and that's why we kind of want to have this discussion today to kind of bring some of that information out there for people. It's changing all the time. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me or your commissioner. We'll try to see what kind of information we can provide. But I can tell you what we've looked at internally is we're trying to be as conservative as possible with a lot of the funding so that, look into the future. There's so many unknowns right now. We're seeing positivity rates continually increase. We don't know what's going to happen with businesses looking towards the future. So I think we're trying to do our due diligence to make sure that we're using funding as appropriately as possible. But there is a lot of restrictions on what you can and can't use that money for. And I think it's important to know that there is funds out there, and it's going through the appropriate channels. A lot of them have to be charitable type organizations. What's the one, I'm not sure if you mentioned, was it the CAC? Are they in
Yes,
contact?
the Miami Valley Council.
Mhm. And being able to reach out to these organizations, because the money's there. It may not cover all your expenses or losses during this time. But if you can get help, absolutely. We want to push what resources we can for everybody and make sure that people are aware that it is there. So.
Great. You have any questions?
Could not have said it better myself.
I know it.
Thanks.
We sat down, we wanted some clarity, and it's being used appropriately. I'm very happy with the explanations that we were given, and that there are resources out there for businesses and households. So, and I'm very happy about that, so. Anything?
Nope, that's great.
All right. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you so much for all your help with it.
Thanks for your time, because I know you're going to be busy here lately, or coming up. All right, next is commissioners' reports, or comments, and we will start with Commissioner Folk.
Really not much to talk about tonight. I want to say thank you to all the parents and kids for having a safe Halloween out there. This is the first year that at the residence I currently live at that we actually had trick-or-treaters. So I was thoroughly pleased to see some little costumes come up the driveway and be able to hand out some Reese cups to them. But not a lot of comments from the city saying that it was a bad thing. I didn't see a lot of bad media coverage on it at all. I had a few parents thank me for having it during the daytime. They felt a lot safer with their little ones actually out there crossing roads, so on and so forth. I actually had a chance to witness some kids coming across East Main up there and actually looking down the hill and looking up the hill to make sure that no traffic was coming. So, safety was paramount, and I greatly appreciate that. For everybody that got out and voted today, thank you guys for doing that. That's your right that you do have in the United States to do. Continue to do the good things. And that's all I have for my comments tonight.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner.
It was brought to my attention that there's going to be a dedication at the Veterans Memorial on Saturday, November 7th at 1 p.m. And this dedication is called an honor log. And what it is that it is raising awareness of 22 suicides per day by our veterans. And there'll be 6 personnel carrying the log, and that will represent the pallbearers. And the length of the log is 7 feet, which represents the length of a casket. And so I encourage everyone who can to attend this and see the great dedication to our veterans. And another thing was that Amy Welker from our health department says that our numbers are up, and she's reminding us that the same mitigation strategies are still the key to keeping the spread down. So we need to social distance, wear masks, good hand hygiene and staying home if you are sick. The health department follows up on every positive case within the community, and they also work to stop the spread by isolating the positive cases and quarantine the close contacts. So if you have any questions, just let Amy Welker know. It's on our website, and that's all I have.
That's true. Thank you very much. Current statistics are listed on the City of Piqua website. I've been getting several questions about that, and I will refer people to that website. So go to it, and you can see Piqua stats. You can see county stats as well. Commissioner.
Reiterate what Commissioner Folk said with Halloween. I can tell you this is the first year I took my kids out, and if it would have been on Thursday, I wouldn't have gone. It was pretty nasty out there. So it was beautiful Saturday, so I think a lot of people enjoyed that. It was a little interesting being during the daytime, you know, with Halloween, you're used to it being more spooky, but I think a lot of people enjoyed it because, like you said, from a safety perspective, you know, people could see, and I think I really enjoyed it. You know, it was really nice. So I appreciate everybody being safe out there and enjoying the Halloween and Beggars Night and doing what we can. And it was kind of nice because there was different options for people. I know people had them at different times, different trunk or treats out at the mall. I heard was a really good success. A lot of people out there. We got a great community that's doing a lot of that for our kids. So it was really nice to see. If people weren't aware, we did open the commission meetings up to the public. We're fully aware that some of the rates have increased. We think we're definitely taking precautions, social distancing, wear your mask required. In knowing that that tends to be the trend in the society as right now, knowing things could always change, but still it's important. We appreciate the young ladies coming and speaking today, and that's some of the stuff that we really want to get back to normal as much as possible, but still being as safe as we can too. So, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Hines.
Just to reiterate, obviously numbers going up, and just to remember everything that we've talked about with that. We are entering into months where we want to be indoors more because the weather's cold, and so we just want to make sure that we're making smart decisions as we do that. Also, I'm noticing that it's 6:30, so if you have not voted, you have an hour left to go do that. So I encourage you to do that. It is a right we all have. And I wish more of us would do it. It always amazes me the percentage of people who do vote compared to the people who are registered to vote. So I encourage you, if you've not done that, you got an hour to do it. And in our community, you can get to any polling location, wherever it is that you are supposed to vote within that hour. So get out and vote. And with that in mind, as we all know, this election, this time leading up to this election has been very divisive. It has involved a lot of energy on both sides of the issue, if you will say. And so I just want to encourage all of us to remember, as the results, as they come out, that we are a community, we are a country that was founded on being united, and we are the United States of America. So I want to encourage all of us that we remember that as we seek who our next president will be, and as we seek to be the community of Piqua as well, that we are united, even in our differences, which are beautiful and wonderful as well, but we are called to be community. So, thank you.
Thank you. Follow up on what she just said. Abraham Lincoln said that we are not enemies, we are friends. And in light of the tensions that exist because of this election, all I can tell you is that at the end of the day, we still need to be friends. It doesn't matter who wins, who loses, we still have to live with each other. And so, you know, it's not a matter of rubbing it in or giving someone a hard time. It's a matter of at the end of the day, coming together and working towards a common cause and living with each other peacefully. So, voting is a right. Please exercise it. I proudly display my Ohio voter. I voted after work. I was able to walk in, and it didn't take too long. Well, it took longer in the parking lot talking to people. But two of my kids came home from college, and they voted, and they took pictures of themselves in the parking lot with their little stickers and sent it to me. It sent a tear down my eye because they were able to vote. I mean, even though that was a right that was given, it wasn't always a right for women. And women fought hard and got the right, and now they vote more than men, which is great. Blacks and minorities had a hard time voting, and with the Civil Rights Act of 68, we were able to vote. So exercise that right. People fought long and hard for it. People are out helping you do it, and I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. Just vote, because that is your right. And we know for a fact that the numbers of people voting this year are up. 100 million people voted ahead of time, whether it's absentee or early voting or some form or another. I think that's great. That's wonderful, you know? So, moving on, I want to talk about Halloween. I got a little crap because we did move it, and from people, some people, very few, but some people. And, you know, but I got way more compliments from parents and, you know, getting hugs from kids, because I went to the fire station and handed out candy with the police department, fire department. It was a lot of fun from 1 to 3. Got to see the officers, got to see a lot of kids in costumes and stuff. Saw a lot of parents who were kids when I used to do the DARE program in Piqua, and then they're introducing me to their kids, and it was just a good time. It is a little strange having it during the day, and it may not be as scary or as creepy, but it's safer. And we didn't have the inclement weather, and it was a good time. So I appreciate the fire department, police department for what they did, and all the people that went out and had a good time and were safe. Appreciate you. So, and with that, I don't have any other comments other than you got time, vote, please vote. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are